Hey, I have an announcement. We are fast approaching episode 300 of the Career Changemaker podcast. And to mark this milestone, we are going to be hosting a live podcast recording in London. And I am inviting you to come and join us. You're going to see the behind the scenes of me interviewing amazing guests. And we're going to be opening up the floor for Q&A and some spot coaching and then some networking. So I would love to get to meet you in person, have you meet other people inside of this amazing career change maker community and just celebrate with you. Whether you've listened to one episode or the 300 episodes or anywhere in between, I am so grateful that you are part of this community and I'd love to celebrate with you live. So it's taking place at the end of November. Details can be found in the show notes. So click the link. Get your ticket. There are limited spots, literally only 30 spots available. And I would love to see you take up one of those seats. So go and grab your ticket. Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine Esbrand. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. Hello, and welcome to the show. Welcome to one of my favorite types of episodes. This is a client case study episode where I am going to be digging in with one of my past clients and talking about what it looks like to be intentional about your career transition. So if you are in a season where you're thinking about making a move and you're not quite sure whether to start, how to start, what to do, this episode is definitely one you're going to want to lean into. I interviewed Tosin Hunter, who is an incredible human being and the co-founder of Hunter Digital, about her journey from being in corporate to running her own business. And we really dig into the messy middle and what it looks like to make such a transition. So without further ado, let's dive into my conversation with Tosin. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited for you to be here, you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's so great to speak with you, especially after listening to the podcast for some years and working with you in the past. So I'm honored to have the opportunity. So a bit about me. I am a creative entrepreneur and writer. I run a website design studio called Hunter Digital, and we help purpose-led organizations and experts to present themselves online in a way that feels very true to them. And we do that in a way that also gives impact through excellent design and also content that helps them be found. Like I said, I have a Substack newsletter where I write about motherhood, intentionality, creativity, and that was birthed from my experience. So prior to the version of kind of work that I do now, I worked in corporate for over 10 years. I worked across industries. I worked for companies like EY, UBS, Salesforce, and I had a corporate career. It was a successful corporate career, but essentially it was not a career that aligned with my values. And so after some time of reflection and emerging out of burnout, I was able to build a life that is a lot more intentional and feels aligned to me.
Oh, I love it. I love that
Mm,
last piece that you just said
mm,
around building a life that is intentional and
mm,
aligned. Um,
mm,
because seeing your journey of transformation has been so incredible. And you mentioned there that this is what you do now. You talked about your previous version of work. I'd love to get into the messy middle because I think a lot of the time
mm,
people would be like, I used to do this and now I do that. or I used to do that and now I do this, right?
Yeah.
And we don't always understand what goes into making such a transition. So talk to
Yeah.
me a bit about where you were, like when we first started working together, and
Mm.
how you were feeling and thinking at that time, and kind of what was the catalyst for change for you?
Yeah. So I think when we first started working together, I was quite disillusioned, I think, in terms of my career. So up until that point, I had been in corporate and I'd really tried to do all the things that I know if anyone has a corporate background that you're supposed to do in terms of visibility, getting the sponsors, getting people to advocate for you when you're not in the room, all of this.
Mhm.
I also was doing that and building while I was becoming a mum. And so those stints out would sometimes be a bit of a restart in after maternity leave. It felt like I'd been grinding, and I remember I had gotten the promotion that I'd been working towards. I actually got the promotion on maternity leave, which really told me I'd already been doing the work. I wasn't even there, and they knew that the promotion needed to come at that point. And I remember feeling like when I got that promotion, I wasn't necessarily like infused by it. It almost kind of was a bit, I was tired.
Mm.
And especially when you've worked so hard for something, you start to question, okay, what am I working towards? Why am I doing this? So by the time we started working together, this was probably after my second maternity leave. I was back at work and I realized I needed to pivot, maybe internally. I just didn't know. And I remember we did a lot of work around kind of mindset. We also looked at values, and I've said this to you in the past as well, but that piece on values was something that really sparked something in me because I did the work, the exercise, which really helped you draw out some of your kind of core values. And for me, at the time, I remember it being around family, creativity, fulfilling work. And there was others as well, but I just knew that my life did not look anything like that. Like I was spending most of my time not doing anything that I felt kind of supported those core values. And that
Mm.
was the beginning of like, okay, something needs to change. And initially it was going to, I was looking at internal pivots and things like that. But like you said, kind of that messy middle, it was really hard to keep going when I knew the environment I was in just wasn't kind of aligned to what I felt like success looked like in my life anymore. And then I think when you're doing things that don't really align and you kind of keep going, your body starts to tell you you need to stop. And I started kind of getting migraines, which I think was kind of like physical symptoms of burnout. Like I would get like kind of vertigo episodes as well. And I just remember it getting to the end of 2023 and being really kind of just down. And I was like also not very present for my family in the way that I wanted to be. And I just remember being like, okay, it was December 2023. And I was like, 2024 cannot have me like this. Like, I cannot
Mm.
go into 2024 feeling in this way. And honestly, I would love to say that like I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't. What I knew is I knew what I didn't want. And
Right.
that was enough for me to be like, okay, I have to do something different. Obviously, everybody's circumstances are different. For me, I was able to like talk with my husband and just be like, I think what we would lack would be the money, but what I would get hopefully would be my peace of mind. And so going into 2024, it was for me to basically leave work and be with my then 2-year old at home.
Yeah. I love that. I think often when people are thinking about making a transition, there is a lot of focus on what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And actually, when you don't know what to do, a great starting point is what do I not want to do?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love that you brought up the values piece because I think a lot of the times people can look externally as to what looks good, like what roles look good, what's trending in the market. Let me go on LinkedIn and look at what roles are available. but what's a perfect role for one person isn't necessarily a perfect role for someone else. And so it's so
Mm,
important to do that work around you and your values, your strengths, your passions, like what really motivates you, so that when you're making a decision, it's based on you as a person and
mm,
you're able to
mm.
figure out what's the right fit for you. So you being able to look at those values and say, actually, if these are my values and I don't honor or reflect any of these in my day-to-day work, then I know
Yeah,
that this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And
yeah,
then that gives you the permission to then go and like find and explore and take some
yeah.
time, right? Take some time and take a pause. So I love that you're sharing a bit of the timeline. Like it isn't always a quick fix. Sometimes,
Mm,
okay, yeah, I've got the information about what I need to be focusing on, but now I'm going to go and explore it, right?
mm,
Time. Um,
mm.
so yeah, it's great to hear that that was your journey, even though I'm sure while you were in it, it was a bit like, what's happening? I don't know what's
Yep. Yep. Yes, it really was. Especially when you kind of get the questions as well in terms of like, oh, so what are you going to do now? And you're just like, I don't know, just doesn't feel like a good enough answer. But I think it's like that active pause as well, isn't it? For me,
Mhm.
the main thing I was with my daughter, I was volunteering as well. We were going to play groups and things like that. I was speaking to other women, which was really insightful as well. And then I was doing courses. I was rediscovering my creativity. I was doing kind of writing courses, general creativity courses, business as well. I was journaling a lot, being quite reflective of each season and where I was at, what didn't work, what did work, trying different things. And that kind of slowly eventually led me to where I'm at now. But I think I always describe that period, and I guess essentially I'm always doing this, but like the unraveling. It was just this unraveling,
Mhm.
unwiring of everything that I thought like success was, what life should look like, what ambition is, what actually is pursuing like a purposeful and intentional life. And also understanding that slowing down and simplicity has power as well. That, especially when you're being told you have to be everywhere all at once, if you're and learn when I learned about myself, knowing that I'm actually more introverted, actually I shine in certain
Mhm.
spaces. I appreciate deep conversation. How does that then work in a kind of career and work setting? And yeah, embracing that, but also not just like ignoring my weaknesses, like knowing
Yeah,
that there's work to do and there's knowledge gaps, but also if there's a gap, you can move towards the other side. So there's steps, right, to get
yeah,
to where you need to be. You need time though. You need time, and sometimes we have to rush. We feel like we have to rush and be
yeah,
together and be like, sometimes there's this shame as well. I think I had to get over that shame of like not being successful, or like, because at that time I was definitely more, at home, getting over that what was perceived as like failing in a way.
yes.
Um, but actually, yeah, what I understood to be successful came in like different packages to what, had been projected and pushed onto me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had that time to reflect, because when you
Mm.
think about, a couple of things, like one, you being able to spend that time with your daughter, like she will
Mm.
never be 2 again, right?
No.
And you being
Uh,
able to spend that intentional time and the value that is in that, of like just giving yourself permission to just be there and be present.
mm,
And then also like you mentioned journaling and writing. I remember us being on a session and you talking about, I think you mentioned that you used to write,
yeah.
or like you were into journalism back in the
Yeah.
day, or you wrote for
Yeah.
a newspaper or a magazine or
Yeah,
something.
magazine, yeah.
And I was like, huh? Like, okay, tell me more about that. You're like, yeah, that was just the old me, like what I used to do. I remember, and I was like,
She used to
okay.
write that past
She used
version
to
of me.
write. That was my past, in a past life. And I remember us exploring what would it look like if you were just
Mm.
to like write just for the fun of it. and just see how
Mm,
it was. And so you having the time and space to actually lean into that and realize that journaling was helpful for you to get clarity, but then also starting the Substack and just
mm,
reconnecting with that side of you, which is something you were really good at, might not have
mm,
happened had you not taken, or it probably wouldn't have happened had you not taken the pause and given
mm,
yourself the time and space to really lean into, I one, enjoy this, and I'm actually really good at it. So I should do
mm.
this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
good. So good. And so now, when you think about where you are now and what you're doing, what are some of the things that you do now or you get to do in your work and in your business that honors who you are as a person and really
Mm,
plays to the strengths that you have or you've allowed yourself to recognize that you have?
mm. Yeah, I would say storytelling for sure. Because what I did realize is that even in my corporate work, because I worked in recruitment, there was kind of supporting people, individuals, share their experiences, share their strengths in a way that would align with what the interviewer needs. And
Mm.
equally, on behalf of an organization, I would be presenting the company the best of who we are and where we could help develop an individual's career. And then just naturally, I just like stories. Like I love reading. Like growing up, I was like always in the library. Like now, that's something I've rediscovered recently as well. Just like going to the library with the girls with my kids, which has been fun. But yeah, I love that good storytelling and alongside really helping people present themselves. And so doing that with good design has been something that um, we've been able to do through the business because what we've found is that you come across people and businesses that you maybe experience, but maybe you've seen their online presence or their website and it's a bit like, oh, okay. But when you actually like go to whatever their establishment they might run or you might use their products or engage with their services, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And especially where there's people who might have had years of experience but there's that disconnect, and to be able to take that, hear them, listen. And I think that's the difference with how we work. We really listen to the people's goals but also try and understand and get an essence of who they are, so that's reflective of them online. And I think my ability to be able to do that, because I'd like conversation, I am like a deep thinker, and I deep thinkers to the point where sometimes I do overthink, but because I listen, I try and capture that in
Mm.
design and in the copy and in somebody's messaging so that they are able to have somewhere online that's like, yeah, this is me. And I think that's the end point we want when people get on their website, that yeah, this is me.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful that you're able to bring together
Mm,
the strengths that you have to be able to serve people in this way,
mm,
because it's like it's a win-win, right? It's like you get to just use what naturally comes to you to provide people with a service that allows them to then be seen and noticed for what they do.
yeah.
Um, I think it's so, so cool. I also think it's awesome that you get to do this alongside your husband.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about working with your spouse,
Yeah.
because I I have been married. We just celebrated our 15-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Last weekend,
Mm,
and we've been on a beautiful journey together. We've never like properly worked together. I think when I first
mm.
started my business and my podcast, actually, I said to my husband, "Do you want to do the editing this one time?" And then he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do it." And I said, "Okay, I want to get the episode out by the weekend." And I
Oh, yeah.
remember going into the bedroom and he was sleeping when he was supposed to be editing. And I was, well, not, he wasn't quite sleeping, he was lying
No,
down.
I
And
know.
my,
Relaxed.
I said, "Excuse me? Okay, you're fired. You're fired. This is no longer your job because you're
So
obviously not taking
funny.
it as seriously as I."
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
yeah, but it was obviously my business and I was asking him to help. It wasn't us
mhm.
doing the
Good.
project together. But
Mm,
I'm interested to know, like, how do you manage the dynamics of, we live together, we parent together, and then we business together. How do you switch those hats? And like, what are some of the things that
mm.
you have found to have been helpful in your
Yeah.
approach to working together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel that at the beginning, it was very tricky to because you can get quite emotional about things, especially, well, I can, anyway, I speak for myself, when things are not being like done in a certain way, or it feels like, I don't know, because we know each other so well, just like kind of similar to that example, something that I might be taking as seriously, on his end, he might kind of feel like, oh, that's not as much of a big deal. And I think it was kind of communication was definitely key. Because of my corporateness or background, I think I kind of went in trying to be like, right, these are when we have our meetings and this, trying to do the switch. And it's just like, are you okay? Because we just like put the girls to bed, so just chill out. Like, I'm going to have dinner. You know what I mean? Like, but then I think I kind of got into a bit of an ease because actually the fact that we do this and we can, we own our time, we can have a bit more fluidity. It doesn't have to be so like da 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 da. And also the fact that I know, what our lives are beyond work means that we kind of play into that, like have that as a bit of an advantage where, I know it's a busy period for us as a family. So actually let's just agree that this is where work sits and this is,
Mhm.
you know, where family time is. So for me, I have my own work schedule and rhythms, and I kind of stick to that and I try and communicate that when I'm focusing on different pieces. And then for him, he also like does the same and we just try and come together. And I think over time as well, we realized even where the handoffs are, like what you own, what I own. And because of that, where there's clarity of like roles over time, we're able to know, okay, that's you, that's me. And then collaborate where it makes sense.
Mhm.
So yeah, just clearly defined roles, I would say one, communication, two, and just, yeah, not feeling being so rigid
Okay.
about it.
Yeah. So good. So good. So when you think about the fact that you run your own business now, like when you were on this journey of exploration, did you think you would do this? Or did you think, okay, I'm just going to figure out what type of role I'm going to do next? Because I think for a
Mhm.
lot of people, the idea of running their own thing is often there. Like people
Mm.
often like, yeah, I'd love to run my own thing, but it's almost like a I'd love to do that, but that isn't for me type vibe.
Mm.
And there are a few clients that I've worked with that have gone on to start their own thing and do that. Um, but I'm interested to hear from you, like, where did that idea of like, I can actually make this work
Mm.
come when you were in your journey of exploration?
So I definitely felt like I was probably going to try and lean into like a flexible job or like a role that allowed me to, maybe be part-time. But then I feel like as well, because of my experience today, you've picked up skills, and also I would say I'm an ambitious person as well. And I think that's sometimes where this kind of tension was for me while I was at home, because I love being at home. I love being with my children. But I also know I've got so much to offer in different ways. How do the two come together? I remember coming across well, it used to be called Motherhood Untitled, but um the kind of organization, the founder has a book called The Power Pause, Neha Ruch, and just her approach to pausing from a place of like strength and how you can use, be quite ambitious with it and just shape it in a way that aligns with, yeah, who you are as a person. It doesn't have to look a certain way. So that started to kind of give me some ideas. Um, and then I did a course called Her Biz, which was kind of for women in business. It was like foundational for like anyone who's thinking about starting a business or has a business, like kind of like the beginnings of a business. And I just thought, well, why not? Like I might be able to figure. I was kind of thinking more like HRE coaching, maybe possibly.
Mhm.
Um, because I still feel like I have that in me, to be fair, but I also knew I was quite creative. So anyway, just going in on the course, I was able to understand the foundations of like setting up business and some of the key elements, and also being on there with a lot of other women who had businesses in all sorts of areas and were kind of starting things. And you just start to, especially when you come into community, when you speak to others who are kind of in a similar space, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not alone. And actually, yeah, I can do this. Like, I can do this. Let's just see. Let's just try. And so that was the beginning. And so my husband, his background is like digital marketing, and then with my writing and stuff. And then we started helping out a friend with her business. She was about to start an interior design business and wasn't too sure about how she was going to put herself out there in terms of branding. So that working on that with her, helping her out with that almost was the beginning of like, oh, we could really do this as a business. Like we could
Mm.
actually do this and help people and help businesses just have great online spaces. So that was the beginning. And then we exhibited at the UK Black Business Show shortly after that, which was like, it was like an amazing experience because at that we were still like rough around the edges. We weren't really like, we were just still forming. And then we were like, okay, like let's get like our background, our brands, t-shirts, da, da, da. And when you have to go out there and talk about what you're doing and how you help people, you're then in the moment refining your message. You are asking yourself and saying it out loud, like, this is
Yeah.
why I'm here. This is who I help. And that was such a great experience. And then it was like having people come over to our stand as well. And we literally had just started, but we had people coming saying they wanted to intern with us and because they felt like the brand looked so kind of robust
Put
and kind of
together.
established.
Mhm.
And that was gave us such confidence to be like, not only in the work are we helping people, but actually in how we have come across and presented ourselves. And that's basically our years of experience. That's like, actually, not only can we do this just because we have an ability, but it allows you to back yourself. Like, you've got over a decade's worth of experience in some of the biggest organizations in the world. Like, I don't, I've had to come to a point of like really owning that.
Yes.
Um, because I don't know, over time, the corporate experience can really chip at your confidence a bit, but you
Yeah.
kind of take that step back and then you're like, no, this is what I've done and this is how it's manifested in itself in my business. And so, yeah,
That's
that's,
brilliant.
yeah.
It's so good because, first of all, for listeners, the Black Business Show is one of the biggest shows of the year for
Mm.
Black entrepreneurs and for professionals. I actually was there this year.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
helped out in the career zone and was supporting people around careers there. But it's
Amazing.
big, it's huge, it's
Mm.
a massive show. And so for you to go there and exhibit like shortly after starting is incredible. And I love that you got to the mindset of, I might be new to this, as in this business in this format, in this structure, but I'm not new to my knowledge and
Right.
my expertise, right?
Mm.
I saw something the other day where someone was doing like a throwback to a post that she did years before, and the
Mm.
post was still relevant. And she was like, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. And I was like, yes, it's so true.
Love
We
that.
are not new to this, even if we are, doing something in a different way, in a different like container, whether that is business or you've moved into a different role or organization. Like, you as an individual, you have acquired a whole load of experience over at least a decade, right? Most of
Mm.
my listeners have been working for at least a decade.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's important not to diminish that just because this is a
Yeah.
new way of showing up. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you got to the place where it's like, no, what we're not about to do is act like I'm just starting something fresh out of
Right.
uni. It's like,
Right.
this is after years of working in corporate environments that are
Yeah.
quite high stress,
Yep.
high pressure.
Mm.
I've created a lot of impact. So if I could do that for someone else, I can absolutely do it for myself, my business, my clients. Um,
100%.
but it takes time to get there. That mindset shift doesn't always happen
Oh, yeah.
straight away,
Yeah.
right? It's a bit of a process.
And yeah, definitely. I think that is, and I'm still doing that as we kind of speak, but I definitely have felt the shift. And the confidence. And I think also in the doing, because you can take in information and be like, oh, that maybe that sounds like, but until I started to put things into practice, until I would hear a concept or kind of like maybe a marketing strategy, and I'm like, oh, maybe we can do that for us. Maybe there's an iteration of it that looks suitable for the business, and then you do it and it's successful. You put something out, and then you get people booking in consultation calls, and you're like, oh, this is working. So people, so and then it definitely in the doing you build that confidence. And it's I remember you saying it in our coaching, back, a few years back, about data and feedback. And I think that is something that I've seen in practice, that when you do things as well, that I remember it being based on also what we've done in the past as well, being data to inform who we
Yeah.
are. But there's also that data that you put out in real time in trying things, and like kind of experiments. You try it and see what comes back, what lands, what needs to go, what can stay. And only if you kind of step out and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it speaks to giving the time and space for things as well. Because I think,
Mm,
we live in a time where everything is at our fingertips and like so quick, and even quicker now with AI and, the way the world's going. Um, but sometimes, like, you need to give things the time that they need in order for you to get the real fruit out of it. So when you
mm,
are on a journey of exploration and trying to figure it out, you might just need time so you can gather the data and you are able to see, like, is this the direction? Or even in business, like sometimes we can try things and it doesn't work the first time and it's like, okay, well, fine, it doesn't work for me. It's like, yeah, maybe that's the data point and maybe I need to
mm,
try again with a slight tweak and a slight iteration. But all of that requires patience and it requires time. But then on the other side of that is where you get the results, right? It's like
yeah.
when you think about, I think about some of the sweetest fruits that, that you like love, it's like they take time to grow. Like you
Mhm.
can't just pick the mango off the tree before it's ripe because it is not going to
Yeah.
taste good. But if you wait for the ripe mango, because that's my favorite
Yeah.
fruit,
Mhm.
it's, oh, I really enjoy it,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the fruit comes as a result of being on a journey. I think your
Mm.
kind of what you shared about where you started and where you've got to now, that's a really good example of that. It wasn't like, okay,
Mm.
yes, I joined the coaching program and I got my aha moment and then I went and landed another role or started my business straight away and then happy days. It was like, actually,
Mm.
I joined, I realized where I was able to take stock. I kind of took some time to figure things out and then starting my business. But even as starting my business, I was
Mm.
then figuring it out and then getting to a place like a year in where I start to feel like more confident in what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Been a journey,
definitely.
um, but it's so much more. I don't know. You tell me like how you're feeling about it now, having gone through a bit of a journey to get here.
Mm.
What are some of your reflections around not just getting to the destination, but like the journey to get there and what you've learned along the way,
Mm. I'll say, yeah, a lot of lessons, I feel like, to be fair. But just taking that time, I think we've kind of spoken to it already, but really giving yourself that time to learn and listen also to others who have gone before. I definitely took time to have some conversations, or even listen, like, you have like distant mentors, so people you listen to online and things like that, and take in what resonated with me. Because also I would say this, especially if you're prone to overwhelm, I am prone to overwhelm. Like, there's so much information out there and so many voices, and especially when you're in a period of listening and not doing, that can sometimes impact your confidence and momentum. So I think it's important to listen, but then I think it's important to curate and decide who those voices are going to be, whether it's like people in your real life or, certain kind of business influence or influencers or podcasts, just contain it, because you don't want that to stop you from moving forward. There's always going to be a new hack or idea or whatever. I promise you. I think I had to get to the point that, like, you know enough to start, you know
Yes.
enough to go. So just like listen, but keep moving. And I would say some of the lessons as well have been like understanding that I have what I need to start. I remember when I was at EY, I had so a woman that I used to speak to, like she was a mentor of mine, and she definitely knew that I was going through it. But she was, and I remember her just, we were having this conversation, and it was kind of like, what do you really want to do? And you know, sometimes when you're in like work conversations, you're a bit like, can I be honest?
Yeah.
Can I really be
How
honest?
much am I sharing?
I know, like, am I oversharing? Okay, but I'm emotional. But yeah, but I remember saying to her, you know, I think I started to talk a little bit about creativity and stuff like that. But she just was like, nothing is wasted. She was
Mm.
like, everything that you have done and is going to inform what you will do. So don't feel like you have to be, you know, she talked about kind of like the kind of like golden chains that you can have, or golden cufflinks or something. I can't remember the actual phrase, but sometimes the higher you get in corporate, especially if it's something that is not aligns to you, you almost, because of the lifestyle that comes with going up and the salary that comes with it, you almost feel like tied to it and that you can't move. And she just was like, you know, nothing is wasted. And you are at a point in your career where if you're going to change, it should be now. And so that has rung true for me actually as I've continued on in my journey of, yeah, business and creativity. And I would also say just what I've learned is that in terms of being intentional
Mm.
with life, it's, yeah, not a mistake. Like, I think to pause and really ask yourself what you want and then make steps to make that a reality in your day to day. Like for me, that has been so worthwhile. Like I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. You know, even in the point where I wasn't earning any money, I knew that I was like doing fulfilling work. And that at that time looked like looking after my children. And then it built into doing that while running a business. And it's, you know, going into trying to create space to write, and I'm on that journey now of like, what will that look like? Is it just a hobby? Is it just, you know, is it somewhere where I'm going to communicate certain ideas? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm like this kind of fully fledged writer, but I know it's a skill that I have and something that I enjoy doing. So, yeah, that's what I would say to that.
Yeah. So good. So good. So if there's someone who's listened to this and they're like, do you know what? I know that I need to make some changes and this isn't working. And they're considering maybe hiring a coach or like joining some kind of professional development program that's going to help them. Um, what would you say to them around some of the reservations that you had, right? So like often people are like, I know I should do that, but then I'm not sure. Like when you were thinking about joining program and starting with coaching, what were some of the things you were concerned about that someone listening may also be thinking through?
Could you ask me that question again? I think I just want to make sure I answer it in the
Yeah.
right way.
Yeah, so when you were in a space where you're like, "Okay, where I am now isn't working, and I think I need
Mm.
support." So when you were considering coaching, what were some of the maybe objections that you had in your mind or things that you were working through where you're like, "Ah, should I do it? Should I not? I don't know if this is the right thing." Because 'Cause I'm just thinking if someone's listening to this and they've been like, "Yeah, I wanna get coaching," but there's some resistance, like, what were some of the resistance you was experiencing back then that they may be experiencing now?
I think some of the resistance at the time was probably like, if I can't figure it out for myself, how can coaching help me figure it out?
Mm.
Um, I also, I think it was just like not having clarity of what the end result would look like. And I think going through the process, it wasn't just about getting to this kind of end result, especially when you come from corporate, you're quite results goal orientated. We move with KPIs and metrics and, how do we quantify if this is a success? And actually, it's about the process. I think it was the reflectiveness, asking myself questions that I had not paused long enough to ask myself, being
Mm,
honest about who I was and where that misalignment, that disconnect was, because there clearly was something that was making me like lack contentment in my day to day. And it was about figuring out that process. It was also helpful to do it in community, because sometimes a lot of these feelings that we have, um, or this kind of disappointment that we can have in our work, we are a lot of the time just operating day to day, going to work in and out, quarterly this, quarterly that. It just keeps going. We're just on this treadmill. And to pause, and especially in the context that we did it, to pause and say out loud some of the things that you haven't really admitted to yourself in a group of other women who are also on a journey of trying to change or pivot is really powerful, because you're able to, one, recognize you're not alone in this, but also with your coaching, have some of those things reflected back to you. Um, if you don't give yourself the time to voice it out, it just comes out like this, like, blah. You just think you're not making sense. And then to have it reflected back to you with like coherence, one, you feel like, okay, I'm, I'm saying I'm okay. I'm not weird that I feel this way. But also you start to get a bit of a framework and a plan as to how to move
mm,
forward. So I would say don't go into coaching thinking that after this, I'm going to know exactly who I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to be doing. You may get to that point, but I wasn't even at the point after we finished working together. I wasn't at the point of like, right, I'm going to run my own business. But
yeah.
I had really, dug out like internally some of those desires and wants, and I'd recognized that there was a misalignment. I was clear on what my values were. I knew who I was now as a person and why my personality type was
Mm,
not flourishing where I was, because I understood myself better and I had tools to move forward.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I think having the tools to move forward and being able to kind of like, to me, in the way that you're describing it, it sounds like the coaching experience was almost like a spark
Yeah,
where it was like, okay, I I identify that what I'm doing isn't working, and then being in a container where I'm able to reflect and on myself, understand myself at a deeper level, and even identify why it's not working.
yeah,
Now I get why I'm not happy where I
yeah.
am.
Hmm.
And then you're able to then take that information and in some ways retreat and just be like, okay, let me just sit with all that has just come to the surface because it was buried.
Mm,
And then in that season is where you kind of allowed yourself the pause and the space to explore and get to the place where this running of a business is the right next step for me. But it wasn't, like you said, uh overnight thing. This is like
no.
over months and years thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But the way you took the journey was right for you in the season
Mm,
of life, motherhood, um, marriage that you were in. And I think that's why I love doing this work, because
mm,
it's so different, like I can work
yeah,
with a client where it's like, "Oh, okay, snap. It's been 6
yes.
weeks. Oh, I know what I
This
want
is
to do.
it.
Let's do
Yep.
it."
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
I can also work with clients where I catch up 2 years later and it's like, "Whoa, who even are you?" Like, you're a completely different person. So it's not so much about the time frame, but it's more,
Yeah,
for me, my biggest thing is helping people to really take ownership of their careers and the trajectory and really step into understanding how amazing you are. There's
Mm.
so much that you have in there in terms of your unique blend of skills, background, experience. And when people understand that, there's just a level of confidence that just comes where it's just like, okay, okay, girl,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see you. And
Yeah,
that's the stuff
definitely.
that lights me up. So good.
I think that was definitely an experience that I had when we worked together, because I remember we had to talk through our experience as well. And I kind of listed some of the stuff that I'd done, like the internship in South Africa and doing the Mountbatten Institute program, the New York work study program, and working there for a year, the companies that I'd worked for, like kind of like from creative internships to corporate roles and stuff. And I remember the way that I said it as well was a bit like, yeah, just,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then I just remember you just being like, what? What are you talking about? You didn't wait. No, go back. I'm like, yeah, I just did this thing where I think I got into such a habit of just not recognizing my achievements, because it was just like on to the next. Well, that's
Yep.
not relevant for now. Now this is where we are at, and I have to. And I feel like a little bit of that was kind of, one, I guess my personality doesn't really lend itself to doing that. But secondly, also being in corporate, it was kind of like you would do this thing, you would work hard and you'd be like, okay, this is
Mhm.
what I've done. But now it's like, that was last year. What have you done
Yep.
this year? This, we're
Yeah.
on to the next. And so you didn't have time to like own your wins like that and call it back. And I feel like, especially given now having time, obviously post took and having that time, that was part of me like building on the fact that, yeah, one, I have to own that past and recognize it, especially the way you reflected it back to me. Then that still it's still relevant for now. It's still relevant for the work I'm doing now. I can still speak to it. I did that. I did that. Like,
Like, that's your experience.
it's
No one
my
can ever
experience.
take that away from you. You did it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so, so common. Like literally, so I host a monthly pause and plan session for professionals and leaders who want to just like pause and then plan for the
Mm,
month ahead. If you're listening and you want to join the next one, the link will be in the show notes to join. Um, but I had the same thing with someone yesterday. She was talking about this CPD course program
mm,
that she did, and it'd been in the making for 8 years that she wanted to do this program, but the timing was never right. So she did it. Not only did she did it and she got a distinction. And then after she did it and got the distinction, she decided to submit an additional report, which would basically make this qualification be equivalent to a master's. And she did it. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, what did you do
amazing.
to celebrate? She's like, I did a post about it on LinkedIn. That's
Yeah.
about it. I was like, wait, 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 wait. What we're not about to do is act like the work that you just did to get this accreditation was like just for what? If you're just gonna have it and then one, not celebrate it, and two, not think about how you're gonna leverage it, what are we doing? What are we doing? So I was
Mm,
literally on the call, and this, mind you, she wasn't a coaching client, right? So this is the second call that she's come to, but I was just like, no, sorry, I just can't have this. We need to make sure that we are celebrating. So how are we celebrating? Because I think there is just so much brilliance amongst the women that I get to coach, that
mm,
are in this community, that listen to this podcast. And there's just so much glossing over. So much where
mm.
people are just like, yeah, 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 I just did that thing. And it's like, no, we can't. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is if you just gloss over, that means that the very next thing that you go to do, you're also not going to be acknowledging that. So you're always going to
Yeah.
be chasing doing more without fully, one, acknowledging it, and then two, leveraging it so it can help you to get to where you want to get to. So I think
Yeah.
it's so, so important that if you are putting in the time to do something and achieve something, you owe it to yourself to also take a moment to really acknowledge. It's not, to me, it's not just about the achievement, it's about the journey that you've been on, because for everyone who's achieved something, you will have changed as a person as a result. You would have grown in skills or mindset
Mm,
or whatever. And so if you
mm.
don't pause to acknowledge I did it, you're also not pausing to acknowledge the growth, which
Yeah,
means that
100.
you're not able to then really fully internalize that, oh, last year I didn't even know how to start a marketing campaign. This year, I launched one and got clients from it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
That's growth.
mm.
So for me, it's that, it's making sure you're celebrating and acknowledging the growth so that you can continue to make impacts, right? Wherever you are. And I'm glad that you're doing that now and that you're on that
Yes.
journey. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I love it, Tosin. So if people want to learn more about Hunter Digital, which is your company, and they are thinking, actually, I want a website, I need a website, or I want some help with building one out, or even I don't even know where to start, where's the best place to like connect with you and learn about the work that you're doing?
So we have our website, which is hunterdigital.studio. Also, follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. Our Instagram is hunterdigital_studio. And we will be looking to help new clients as well in 2026, but also want to branch out to doing workshops as well, just to support and help, smaller business owners who might just need some tips on how to update websites or just have a stronger presence online. So that's something that we're looking to do in the new year. So yeah, connect with me there, or also just reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. I'm Tosin Hunter on LinkedIn as well. And then also, if you are interested in some of my writing, and I'm really into, as you probably have heard from this conversation, motherhood, creativity, living intentionally. I speak about that through personal essays on my Substack, and that is tosinhunter.substack.com.
Amazing. So we're going to put all of those in the show notes, so people can go and check your website out and follow you on Substack and all of that jazz. Just as we wrap up, like any final thoughts that you would like to share with the audience about kind of your experience, or any like words of wisdom or things that you think would be helpful for people to hear who are either about to embark on a career transition journey, in the messy middle of it, or like have just come over the other side where they're like, right, I'm in my new role, I've just launched my business, I'm just starting. What are your closing thoughts?
Hmm. I would say be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself because it takes time. There's this book called Slow Productivity by Cal Newport, and in it
Mm.
he talks about moving at a natural pace. And I would just say allow yourself to move at a natural pace. Like the world would make it feel like you have to be moving fast or you should have been knowing what to do yesterday. And I would just say give yourself that grace and that time to grow and learn and become. It's a journey, and you're on it, but you're moving in the right direction. So keep at it and be patient and move from a place of peace.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I didn't even prep Tosin for that closing question, but she just like, you just brought it all together. That is beautiful. I need to check out that book for sure, because I'm definitely in a
Mm.
season where I'm like, we need to move at a different pace. So thank you for that, Austin, and thank you for sharing
Oh,
with us. It's been awesome. And yeah,
oh,
I'm just so grateful that I got to be part of your journey. And I'm very, very proud and happy
oh.
for you to see how much
Thank you.
you are growing, and yeah, just doing amazing things.
Thank you so much, Janine. It's been so lovely to speak with you. And honestly, I appreciate our journey together. And yeah, it's been great to connect.
Oh, thanks. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. It was so awesome to hear how far Tosin has come over the last few years. And what really stood out to me was the power and importance of giving yourself permission to go at your own pace when it comes to figuring out what is next for you. We can get caught up in feeling behind and that we need to do things quickly and we need to make decisions fast. But sometimes the best decisions are made when you give yourself time to really analyze the data and really digest what is going on, understand yourself at a deeper level so that you're able to make an informed decision. If you're listening to this and thinking, I could do with some similar support in terms of identifying where I am now and what isn't quite working for me so that I can focus in the right areas to get the right answers about what is next for me, then I invite you to book a call, click the link in the show notes and let's have a conversation about how I might support you with transitioning into the next phase or next level of your career. That's all from me today. I look forward to our next episode. Until next time, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals.